Hi, my name is Eric Daw from OmniFit, and today I'm going to give you something essential. Something essential because I think you should do this every single day if you're a senior. Every day, not just 1, 2, 3, every day. So why I want to do these 5 stretches is they are essential for range of motion and just feeling a lot freer. So while we're just about to do them, I'm going to say my catchphrase. Let's get into it. So when it comes to essential, this next stretch is the king or queen of stretches when it comes to upper body stretches. And the reason why, it's great for your posture. And as we know, as we get older, if we have any sort of posture issues, it tends to get us to lean forward, crouch forward, or be in a position that's not great for your body. So I'm gonna use something that I've used in a previous video, the magic door. As you see my door right here, I'm gonna have you find your door that you can put your elbows on the door frame. And once you're here, I want you to step through, and what you should feel, like I said in the previous video, is a stretch right through your chest and shoulders. But let's take it a step further. You can do this stretch in another way. If I take my hands again, instead of just putting my elbows here, you can also make a wide position and step through. This is actually stretching your chest, your pec muscles in a different way. So exercise number 1, or stretch number 1, is stretching your pecs, elbows like this, in about 90 degrees, and then in a wide position. Try this, great for your posture, exercise number 1. Exercise number 2 is all about increasing the range of motion in your shoulders. One thing I notice, particularly for a lot of seniors, is they lose the ability to raise their hand very high over the head, or they lose shoulder mobility. So one of my favorite exercises is to find a wall. I know you have one of them in your house. Is to find that wall and stand about 2 feet away. You don't have to stand any closer. 2 feet's good enough. And then we're gonna put our hand up a little bit higher than my head, but not right in front of me, a little bit off to the side. And once you're here, this is where I want you to bow to the wall. So when you bow to the wall, it's all in your hips. So if you were to bow to the king or queen, you bend your hips and lean forward. When we're bowing to the wall, we're bending our hips and leaning forward. Ideally, you're gonna feel a stretch right under your armpit area. This is a great stretch because it really helps stretch those lat muscles, which are those muscles that run all the way from under your arms down your back. So exercise number 2 is all about shoulder mobility, or increasing that shoulder range of motion. So exercise number 3 is a quad stretch. So if you don't know, your quads are the muscles right in the front of your legs. The reason why we want to stretch these muscles is I find most of us never stretch them. And I also notice when people complain about knee pain, if they increase the range of motion in their quads, it makes a huge difference. So you may be thinking, Eric, I do a quad stretch. I know about the quad stretch. Why are we doing it right here? Well, I'll give you 2 reasons. Number 1, the first reason we want to do a quad stretch here is it's really a good stretch to do before we get to stretch number 4, which you'll see just now. But it's also a stretch I find a lot of people do not do properly. So to do the quad stretch, I'm okay with holding on. Find something you can put your hand on, because this is not a balance exercise. Once we grab our ankle, our shoe, our pant leg, we want to make sure we stand as tall as possible where our knees are in line with each other. The reason why I say that is I find a lot of people leaning forward, have the leg out to the side, leaning in all directions, but they're not tall and their knees are not in line. If you try it this way, you're gonna feel much more of a quad stretch in the front of your thighs as opposed to doing it any other way. So exercise number 3 is the quad stretch. So exercise number 4 is all about your hips, but increasing that range of motion in your hips. And this is the hip flexor stretch. The reason why I had you do the quad stretch first is that you'll actually feel your hip flexors more if you stretch your quads first. So your quads tend to be tight for a lot of people. When you do the hip flexor stretches where we're turning sideways, taking the outside leg, leading, and then keeping our upper body tall, with tight quads, it's harder to feel the stretch in your hip flexor. So this is why we want to do quad stretch, then hip flexor stretch. In this position, you should feel it right through here, but to do a little bit of more or take it a little step further, take the hand on the outside and lift it straight in the air. So we're able to get our hip flexor stretch. You're gonna get a bit of a stretch in the arm, under your lats. So it's a complete stretch where you're stretching your hips, front of your hips, and you're stretching your lats. So exercise number 4 is the hip flexor stretch. If you're tight in your hips, this is the stretch you need to do. Exercise number 4. So last but not least, when it comes to range of motion, the ankles are crucial for seniors, particularly when it comes to doing things like walking, squatting, anything you need to move, anything you need to walk, your ankles are crucial. One of my favorite stretches is the Achilles stretch. Not the calf stretch, it stretches your calves, but even going even a step lower. So if you look at the calf stretch, I'd have you bend, holding on, bending the front knee and having the back leg back. Yes, you should feel the stretch in the back of your leg. Take it a step further. Is we're gonna take our front knee, keep it bent, but also bend the back knee. What you now should feel is the stretch should feel like it's going even lower. It should start from your heel and run all the way back up to your calf. This is really great to increasing that range of motion in your ankles and your feet, which I would be honest with you folks, most seniors are very tight in again. So this is exercise number 5. From 1 to 5, what do you folks think? These are my 5 essential stretches. So what do you think, folks, about these 5 stretches? And I know the questions are ready. How many times should I do this for? Number 1, as I said, every day, folks. Number 2, how long should you hold them for? 30 seconds, a minute. If you do it for that long, it should be more than plenty enough. So folks, those are my 1 to 5 stretches I said before that are essential, crucial, particularly for seniors that want to increase their range of motion. Try them for a week or so. Tell me if there's any difference. I would love to hear in the comments below. So on that note, before I finish, thank you very much. This is Eric Daw from OmniFit. Take care.